we're gonna record a new video. It's gonna be a Space Wolf with no airbrush, and it's gonna be just a quick paint job. And that's something I really like, is doing quick paint jobs without an airbrush, because I think a lot of people always assume, you know, oh, a quick paint job you need an airbrush. So that's what we're gonna do today. However, the shortcut that we are using is we're using Wolf Gray base coat, and we're using that as a primer. So we use the shaker can. So that's how we get like the most speed, so you can paint your whole army. No airbrush, but we're still using a spray can. That's kind of the middle ground there, because you're gonna need to airbrush to undercoat your model anyway, right? So we choose to do this in the Space Wolf color. That's kind of our starting point here. And then the first thing right off the bat, we're not even gonna touch up the primer. You can see it's not like perfect. We're not even gonna dignify that. We're just gonna go straight with gunmetal from the Army Painter, or lead Belcher is fine as well. And we're gonna do all of our metallics right now. So you can see we're paying special attention to make sure that every like nook and cranny is silver. So we're going pretty fast, but we are still taking extra time to make sure that our silver base coat is like really opaque. That's why I like gunmetal and lead Belchers, because one coat with this color and you are good to go. You don't need to do two coats. Just like one is usually more than enough, especially on a primer like this. At this stage, because the goal is speed, at this stage, if you're not sure about something, for example this top piece here, I don't know if I want to keep it silver or if I want to do it gold. I'm not too sure, but because we have the silver and we are like blasting through this, I'm just gonna lay it down in silver, and then if I choose my mind, we'll just repaint it later. It doesn't matter. But I'm really trying to avoid doing any more silver. I want to kind of get the silver like right out of the way right now. So you can see we're not wasting any time here. We're gonna do the buttons right now because they're easy to kind of paint the brown around it, you know, later. So yeah, let's do just that right now. And then last, we're just gonna do this little collar here. We might put too much on the beard and stuff. I don't care. And because this is a speed painted thing, I've decided that we're gonna just kind of forego the gold entirely. We're just gonna paint silver. So I know this is not like the proper, you know, Space Wolf thing. Like if you're like super, well, Space Wolf are not really sticklers for the codex themselves, so you know. But also we're just gonna limit our time here. So we're gonna limit our palette a little bit, and that kind of flies into the speed painting part. Is like we have to make some, you know, some compromises, and that's one of them. Next, we're going to move straight into Doombull Brown again. So I have not touched up anything. We just did one cool base coat silver, and now we're moving to Doombull Brown. It's my favorite brown. I like it. It's a reddish color, reddish brown. And now I realize we should have done the brown before, because then we could have done the silver details on top of the brown. It would not have mattered much. So I make this mistake, but you don't have to. So if you do this, just do the brown first. But if we did the opposite, well, now we could just add like a little dot to finish up these little buttons. If I was doing an army here, I would probably do all of my guys with the same air color, or maybe keep one or two like sergeants to get them like you know, like white hair or something. And then you can see the face here, the details in the face, I don't care about them right now. Flamboyant facial feature, unlike me, he has good volume in there, so we're gonna make sure to do it justice. So that's kind of good. Right now, right at this stage, we're gonna take a bigger brush, and we're gonna take Nuln Oil, and we're gonna give this whole affair just a good coat of Nuln Oil. We can try to dodge around areas like the face and possibly the inside of the shoulder plates, because we're gonna repaint them. But other than that, just like one even coat, I think like smooth even coat of Nuln Oil. This is not Nuln Oil, we're shaking the wrong pot here. Now we have the Nuln Oil. Okay. So on the silver, we can go a little bit heavier, but especially on the armor, because it's a lot of like flat surfaces, we want one thin coat instead of one like very heavy one. But like silver and Nuln Oil are like best friends, so So same thing as before, this little like icon or whatever this is called, like the little shield on his pauldron. I'm not too sure how I want to paint this in the long run, so we're just gonna shade it and just imagine that it will stay the same color as the armor. If I was being like sloppy with the silver, which luckily we didn't make really mess ups. So like this, and now we're kind of good to go here. This is where working on multiple models at the same time kind of really pays off. For the shoulder plates, are going to use Scrog Brown first. And Scrog Brown is nice because usually one coat of Scrog Brown kind of covers really well. And then we can build our yellow on top of that. And that's why I was careful around these plates, try to not do too much. As you can see, it's very orange. This, and now there's other details that we want in yellow. And while we have the brown, so I'm not even touching up everything. I'm just really, like, I'm not doing 2 thin coats on the entire thing. I'm just really adding one just to make sure. So especially on the kind of the bottom part of the plate, if it's not really opaque, that's where I want to add it, because my yellow is going to be on the top part of the plate. So the bottom is the most important part right now. So we're going to do the skin right now, because again, we're kind of, when something's drying, we're kind of trying to work on something else. We wouldn't have this problem, and it would make a lot more sense if we were painting like, you know, like a full unit. We'd never have to wait, really. It would just, by the time our last trooper. So I just want to add, you know, just a little, and nothing here kind of makes sense because all the details are kind of obscured, so you can't really tell what's going on with the face right now, but that's okay. And next, our highlight is going to be Kislev flesh. And Kislev flesh, it's going to look a little bit even weirder if you thought that was weird, because it is very, very light. That's okay. We're going to take care of that later. Okay, so now nothing here on the face is dry, so this does not work. So I'm trying to rush a little bit too much here. So we'll put the face on hold for a quick second, just to let it dry. Instead, we're gonna start working on the shoulder plate, on the yellow, and that's gonna take some time. I'm gonna use Zamesi Desert. It's kind of I call it construction yellow. You know, those bulldozers and whatnot, like the big cat. And the reason I like this one, especially with this scheme, is because it's an overall darker scheme. So I don't want the super like Atomic Canary yellow, like something like this. Like I want my whole thing to fit. You can do this here with a dry brush if you want. You can kind of layer it on. I like layering it on. I feel like the more we paint this one guy here on video, the more testament it is how stupid it is to do only one model. Why you should always work on more models is because half of the time, like this is gonna take about 30 minutes to paint, and about half the time is gonna be waiting for paint. So, you know, nothing here is completed yet, but I mean, we're getting there, and we have a pretty solid model right now. Like even like this, I would not be like too offended to feel this or to play against an army that was done this way, even though it is very simple. This side a little bit, and we're gonna revisit our skin tone just to see if we can. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do a couple of like quick highlights with the Kislev flesh, a couple of dots, and now it looks kind of weird because it looks really. And this time we're really just focusing on the top part, so I'm not even gonna paint the bottom part. Like this. So I'm quite happy with this. Like it's not, you can see it's not like silky smooth, but for 3 coats of yellow, this is really nice. The old pirate trick here in a second. So first thing that we are going to do, we're going to give the yellow a little chance to dry here, and we're going to just paint a couple of details that we could have done earlier. So the vents, and then there's a little rock on top there. So we're going to do that now. We could have done them at the beginning, you know, before we did the first wash, because then this would be shaded with the null. Dark Reaper is fine. Dark Reaper is just going to be darker than our base coat. Essentially, it's going to be very similar, but just a little bit darker. So we're going to have a little difference, something mildly interesting. So you can kind of like it's really hard to tell even now that it's there. So we're happy because it is painted, and if you look at it, you go, oh, you know, did you paint all the details? Yes. And we could have done the shield in yellow. I think it would look nice as well. I kept it gray for now, but so next we're gonna need one extra color, which is a bone. We're gonna use Morghast bone. I like that color. It's yellowish a little bit. So I'm leaving a little bit of the brown, but really not a lot, just a smidge brown. And then next up, we're going to do red. So we're going to use Mephiston red, which is the best one, again, because it covers like nobody's business. So this is really optional, but the real purpose of adding these little red details is also to mask, I'm not going to say half-assed because it's there, but our quick yellow. So the fact that the yellow is not like super, really, you can add whatever you want. Something like this, and we have a couple of like interesting little details. And now we're just gonna finish this quickly. We're gonna do black here, and the black is really just for that little rock And then lastly, we're just gonna pick a Grox Earthshade, and we could probably pick Sepia as well. So like if you want something smoother, just pick Sepia and do that on the yellow and the red. But a Grox Earthshade is gonna give us a little bit more contrast. Because why not? Then we're not gonna do the shield, but we are gonna do these towards the edges or the bottom parts, so that it does not pull in the middle of it. The exact same. And so this here is, this gives us, so quick paint job, something really simple. You don't need an airbrush, and then you can get, you know, your Space Vikings on the board quickly. So thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoy these videos, make sure you subscribe to help me beat the YouTube algorithm, because that is cool. Thank you very much.